Good afternoon, everybody, and we are live once again here. So we just finished talking about Joe Madden. In this next video, we're making back-to-back videos. Now we're here to talk about the Phillies and Gabe Kapler is another interesting team, like the Cubs, who had high expectations going in, and at times looked like a playoff team, yet faded down the stretch once again, and ultimately wasn't that close to making the playoffs. So this new video here, obviously we're doing audio and video. This video will very likely be on YouTube. So here we are, 2 years into the Gabe Kapler era in Philadelphia. It seemed like just yesterday that he was managing his first game with the Phillies in SunTrust Park, opening day 2018. And right away, his managerial decisions were questioned. Whether it was the pitching, or whether it was the handling Aaron Nola, not letting him pitch deep in the game, whether it was bullpen decisions, not warming reliever up. Things look kind of strange early on. During his time in Chicago, or sorry, I said the word Chicago a lot with Joe Madden, in Philadelphia, pardon me. And right now, after 2 years with the Phillies, I think both of those seasons have been fairly similar, actually. Where, at times, high expectations going in, they make offseason additions. So, going into 2018, they add Jake Arrieta. That's their big offseason acquisition there. And it looks like, at times, it looks like, oh, they're going to win the East. And who knows how well they do in the playoffs. And then they start to fall apart. They lose their division. And then finishing up 2018, they played so poorly down the stretch that they had a losing record. I think they're 80 and 82. They let the Nationals team that was irrelevant pass them. And they missed the playoffs by a mile. And they had a bad collapse in August and September. Then you had Andrew McCutchen, who sadly, unfortunately, was lost for the season by early June. And then you bring in Bryce Harper, one of the biggest free agent signings, really, maybe in baseball history. Maybe so, since you pay him $330 million for 13 years, 1 year down, 12 to go, no opt-outs. And once again, at times, especially in June, for parts of May and June, we thought they could win the East before the Braves got hot and it was clearly their division. Then we thought they could be a wild card team at the very least. And they're in it for a while. And then they've fallen off. And the result is an 81 and 81 season. And for the 8th straight year, they will miss the playoffs. So they've not made it to the playoffs since 2011 when they won 102 games. When they had guys like Roy Halladay, Cliff Lee, Ryan Howard, Chase Utley, Jimmy Rollins. That core group of era from when they won the World Series. So that was their best era. So really they have not been able to transition from that era. They've kind of had a rebuilding era. They had a massive rebuilding period kind of in the middle of the decade, moving on from the core that they already had to the now. Here they are. But you think things get better. You maybe think they really do get better. And then they don't. From what we saw from 2017, 2018 was a vast improvement. Sure, there were some growing pains, ups and downs, but this year, I really didn't see any improvement. I mean, granted, if you're a Phillies fan who happens to be watching this video, or who might happen to be watching this video, or whatever, feel free to comment on the YouTube section. Since if you're a Phillies fan who watches day in and day out, you know more about the Phillies than I do. You may read the Inquirer, you may read Philadelphia more. Did things improve any this year? From what I saw, I don't think anything improved. I felt like the year's exactly identical, plus having Bryce Harper. So Phillies fans, did things improve or not? And it was funny, I think I heard a fan had a sign that said analytics fire Gabe Kapler. Gabe Kapler, yes. Who I heard is very into analytics, is very new school type of manager who was a player not that long ago. But yeah, obviously. So their approach, has it worked? I don't know so far. I mean, just, again, things went wrong for them. They had a lot of injuries. Their starting rotation throughout this year, I mean, it was really back and forth of who it was. Guys are getting shuffled in and out of the rotation. Jake Arrieta was ineffective, who was supposed to be their really their second best pitcher, and Aaron Nola, who Cy Young finalist, and in other years might have actually won the Cy Young, but finished in third, was up and down this year, inconsistent. Jake Arrieta, who they were paying $25 million a year, was ineffective and then was out for the year for elbow surgery. So different guys in and out of the rotation. Kind of a rare stat that you might see. Complete games. It was funny how by the first week of June, Nick Pivetta and Zach Eflin combined to throw 3 complete games. I thought that was pretty fascinating. Yet both of them were shuffled in and out of the rotation throughout the year. So what is their rotation? What is their identity of their bullpen? A lot of injuries to their bullpen. So they didn't really have a healthy team. They used a lot of different players. So a lot of injuries. That is definitely part of it. It's not like they had the same team throughout the whole year. They did not even close to that. So injuries. That was definitely something that happened. So you can blame injuries on that too. But then again, why didn't they overcome the injuries? Why couldn't they keep up the success they had early in the year? Why did they fall apart again? Why did it happen again? So I read a very good article on the Philadelphia Inquirer about Gabe Kapler, kind of. It was written by Scott. Scott, his last name is spelled Laubr, so I'm going to say Labor. Philadelphia Inquirer, where it talks about kind of Gabe Kapler and whether he'll be back or not. In my estimation, I'm just guessing. Since some managers, we knew for sure whether they would be back or not really by yesterday. If I had to say so, and I think manager decisions could break out, one, later today, maybe tomorrow, and over the course of the next few days as the playoffs get ready to start. I'm saying 50-50. 50-50. Maybe a little higher. I'm going to say 60-40. We'll see. So basically what I find out is him and really the front office will talk about it this week. And this may help them. Since I think the players like him. I think the players support them. And hearing what Gabe Kapler said in the article is, yeah, like in Philadelphia, yeah, I'm looking forward to coming back. Did not seem too concerned about his job security, really. Did not seem too concerned about it. So he probably will be back. This is what Bryce Harper said in the article. Quote, "It hasn't been his fault. He's had some tough decisions to make, bullpen-wise, lineup-wise. I love our staff, so I enjoy playing for our staff. They made me better each day, and I appreciate that." End quote. So that's what Bryce Harper said in the article. So basically, what Harper said is it's not Gabe Kapler's fault. Yes, he had decisions to make. Obviously, bullpen. I mean, think about the bullpen. You saw their bullpen was on opening day into what it is now. A lot of injuries to their bullpen. I think their whole bullpen's been hurt at some point or another. A lot of different players they had to use. Okay? So trying to deal with, over the course of this year, 16 different relievers is probably more than that. Who knows what the exact number is. That's difficult, lineup-wise. What Harper said. Yeah, I talked about that earlier. Think about Andrew McCutchen. Hasn't played since June. He got hurt. His replacement, Jay Bruce, he's been hurt at times too. Go all the way around the lineup, right? So, one, Harper is defending Kapler right there. He's defending Kapler, saying he's our manager. I really like our coaches, so if Kapler goes, the entire coaching staff probably goes too, more likely than not. He says, enjoy playing for them. They've made me better each day. And Harper appreciates him. So Bryce Harper was kind of, well, I'd say is the leader of the team. That's certainly what it seems like from reading about the Phillies. Basically what I'd say is, yes, when your best player, Bryce Harper, wants Gabe Kapler to be around. Seems liked by the organization, seems liked by the players. Then you know what? I would keep him. So if and granted, I'm not around the Phillies at all. If I was in charge of the Phillies, and this could be a good question for potential commenters, I'm going to ask you this. Would you keep Gabe Kapler? I would say yes. Give it another year. Let him have a year on the contract. Of course, I think the Angels are in a similar situation with Brad Ausmus. They don't know if he's going to come back. I've heard probably not. The Cubs did this before when they had Rick Renteria as their manager. Who, will they have the same success if they're not hired Joe Madden? Who knows? But that was really in last videos. But just talking about, could they open up the door for Joe Madden potentially and be willing to take a risk to have an opportunity to get Joe Madden, who's significantly older than Kapler by about 20 years? Are they willing to take that risk? Since you can't have both guys as managers. So I think that might be the one thing. A lot of teams want Joe Madden, especially borderline contenders. So we'll see. I feel like that could be the biggest factor. And is Kapler a perfect manager? No, not by any stretch of the imagination. He's received plenty of criticism. I mean, sure, if you're a manager who's managing a team that can't finish like the Phillies did, or struggles to finish, you're going to get criticism. You're going to get criticized for that. If you're a manager for a team that has maybe not met the expectations that they set, you may get criticized for that. So there's two sides of the story. So me personally, I do want to bring Kapler back, but we'll see what kind of the other opinions are. Obviously, some fans don't want him back. So we'll see. We'll see. So it'll be interesting to see what happens over the next few days with the situation. Whether Kapler's back, maybe it'll be this type of change that happens in November. So we'll see who's the manager of the Phillies come opening day 2020. And there could be a lot of different names. There could be a lot of different names I might not even be thinking about right now. But I'm going to say it's Gabe Kapler. Well, this is it on this episode. Thank you for listening. And we will see you next time.